Welcome back, Phoenix here, and it's time for another Shining Indies title. This comes just in time with Halloween right around the corner. Let me introduce you to Billy's Nightmare, a roguelike top-down pixel art stick shooter coming to Steam in less than 2 weeks. The Steam page description is a roguelike game where you use abilities and items based on child logic to help Billy fight his nightmare. Think of the phrase child logic more like child influenced. Let me explain. Everything in the game, from characters, weapons, level design, enemies, and bosses, are all influenced or look like they would belong in a child's room or a dream, or in this case a nightmare, or even their life growing up. This game is being made and self-published by a duo of indie studio devs called SantaGames. Some of you may have a hard time finding these guys if you're not actively following the usual indie game spaces, but they're out there. They do have a customary Instagram and Twitter channel, but they're not very active there. They do have an itch.io and a Game Jolt page, with the latter having their other games posted there. Billy's Nightmare is the first that's coming to Steam. There's also their Discord, and you can also follow one of the devs on YouTube, which has all of their devlogs for the game. All links will be in the description below. With that out of the way, let's get to the game Billy's Nightmare. Real quick, I do want to thank the devs for giving me a key for the game to allow me to do this video prior to release. The game revolves around you playing a child named Billy. You're transported to a Temple of Dreams via the tutorial, which you can access when you first boot the game up. Go into the little tent over on the right hand side. You come across a wizard named Mr. Sandman, who's having trouble keeping evil nightmares from invading all of the good and nice dreams that he creates for all. His special relic is the Dream Catcher, and it's stolen by none other than the Boogeyman. Go figure. And it's up to you to get it back. Game controls here are pretty simple. Primary fire and alternate fire on your main weapon, and 2 ability buttons. There's a button to bring up the map and the items that you're carrying around, dodge, and there's also a way to mount up, but I'll get to that in a little bit. All controls are 100% customizable. Mouse and keyboard here is also an option, but I do prefer and suggest using a controller for this game. Just my opinion, of course. When it comes to audio-visual, a minimalistic approach seems to be the case here. Sometimes simple is good, and it works for Billy's Nightmare. We've got some great quality pixel art, sound effects from the weapons give a good punch, and the music fits right in with the style and era you would believe this game to be influenced from. Remember, this game is made by only 2 individuals. I'm always impressed what these small studios can put together, especially when they have teams of 10 people or 5 or even less. Again, in this case, it's only 2 of them. So with the game being a roguelike, all levels are procedurally generated, which I'm starting to learn is common amongst these types of games. When it comes to level design, as I mentioned earlier, you'll see a lot of childhood familiarity. You'll see a Monopoly board style level, one that's made up of Lego bricks, which are called Pego bricks in this game for obvious reasons, copyright of course. One that takes place in a school, and there's much more. You'll see toy cars, crayons, Nerf darts, TVs and computers that happen to be on rolling carts, if some of you happen to be old enough to remember those in school. Lava traps, because it couldn't be a kid's nightmare without having to play the floor as lava, and much more spread all around. Everything is destructible as well. Pieces and such go flying all over the screen when shot or collided with, which adds just a nice level of detail to the chaos that ensues. Even the toys actually happen to bleed and spreads all over the screen. It makes for a nice little mess in the dream world here. Speaking on Nerf darts, your primary weapon to start off with is a dart gun, with 2 firing modes. You've got a single shot and a spread shot, which basically shoots like a shotgun with a short cooldown timer. As you defeat enemies, they drop teeth for you to collect as a currency in the game. It's an interesting choice. I assume I'm not the only one who's had random dreams with my teeth falling out. Leave a comment below if you've actually had similar dreams. I'm interested to know if more people experience, losing teeth in their dreams. Anyway, as you explore the levels, there are multiple paths to take, and you'll eventually come across a shop. You'll have Santa's elf, who will give a free random ability or upgrade, and also there's a chance to gamble your teeth on much more. On the other side, you guessed it, there's the Tooth Fairy. She's got various weapons, passive pickups for you. One could be a frisbee or Pego bricks that you could throw. The enemies can run over top of them, take damage. You've got stinky socks you can use to poison your enemies. Lucky dice that could give you a bonus to critical chance. There's even a toy tank or even a toy helicopter, gives large explosives. There's a Roomba that arcs lightning everywhere. There's various different options. You can carry what seems to be as many abilities as you like, but you can only ever have 2 active at a time. In the map menu, you can swap to whatever you feel fits the situation. You're also given a way to restore your health, or it's called sleep in this game. You'll lose all of your sleep, you'll end up waking from the nightmare, and the game is over. During your travels, you could come across a secret shop with some additional items, other childlike NPCs like Santa Claus or the Easter Bunny. They could give you small side quests that'll give various rewards. You may even find an Easter egg. Hint, hint. While having to backtrack seems to be a pain, you do have a mount that you can use to help speed up the process, with Billy's primary skin allowing him to ride a tricycle. There's even an item that will boost mounted speed so you can zip around when not in combat. While exploring, you may even run into a secret boss or two. Speaking of that, enemies come to life looking like horror versions of kids' toys like evil teddy bears, Lego or Pego men in this case, to classic green toy soldiers. Then you'll move on to bullies to schools, teachers, aliens, ghouls. There's a huge variety. The same is going to go for your boss encounters, which are seemingly randomized as well. You'll face a jack-in-a-box, he's called Jester. There's a school nurse, a janitor, just to name a few. In the first level alone, I faced 3 different types of bosses on 3 separate playthroughs. So that's where I really think the randomization comes in. Once you defeat the boss, you're given a chest that has a reward for you, some teeth, some sleeping pills to restore your sleep, and maybe even an item for your troubles. You're also granted stars as well once you beat each boss. The stars are used to unlock alternate skins for your character. The alternate skins will also influence what type of starting weapon you're going to have, as well as the mount that you're going to use to zip around the level. So this is definitely going to add some replayability to the game. Each of the skins can also have its color changed as well. As I mentioned earlier, there are some Easter eggs scattered around the game in many forms, including certain skins, certain weapons, and I swear I may have even found a small nod to Donnie Darko, but I'm not 100% sure on that, but I think it's in there. I have to talk to one of the devs or ask him about it. The counter in the upper left shows how many stars you've accumulated, as well as dream catchers for finishing the game. I still have not been able to beat this game yet, as my time with Mega City Police, which I covered earlier, I struggle for some reason with these types of games, but that's just me. I'd like to think of myself as a pretty good gamer, but for whatever reason, roguelites, these stick shooters, I struggle with. I'm going to guess that the dream catchers here are going to be used for an extra room that appears in the shop with the Elf and Tooth Fairy. It's you'll see another little corridor you could walk around, and he's going to say something to you, and from that point forward, I can't proceed. So I'm assuming that once you beat the game at least once, the dream catcher is going to allow you to go through this door for some kind of new encounter. I'm not sure, but when that time comes, I'll update the description or the pinned comment once I can make it actually through. Now, even though I struggle, it doesn't mean that I'm not having fun. I'm enjoying my time with the game, loving the explosions, the effect, the mayhem that I'm causing all over the dreamscape. I do, however, have a few minor gripes, but it's nothing crazy. The first one is that some of the levels that are generated are extremely small and hard to maneuver, especially at times when the portals that spawn the enemies spawn on top of you, or they happen to spawn in close proximity to each other. Even running around and dodging as much as I can, I'm still getting hit. You just can't dodge fast enough. The second thing is with the controls. You have to fully let go of one of the attack buttons to be able to trigger another. You can't just hold primary fire and then spam the alt fire, hopefully that as soon as the cooldown is up, you'll just automatically use it. It just doesn't allow a second input, which is unfortunate. And it goes the same for abilities as well. The last one is with the visuals for the abilities and the alt fire cooldown. It's very hard to see at times, especially among the hostilities that are taking place on the screen. The icon dims and relights in a clockwise manner, similar to how many games, especially RPGs and MMOs, happen to run. Readability is just not as good as it could be. Not sure what the possible solution would be here. Maybe taking the icons, making them a little bit brighter, or changing their backgrounds is somewhere where I would start. Also, a nice touch I feel would be to see the icon quickly flash over your character's head. Because sometimes you just don't want to take your eyes off the action and risk taking a hit, which could end up being your last and ruining the run. Other than that, the gameplay is very smooth and it's very reactive in all other areas. So that'll do it for this edition of Shining Indies. Like, comment, and subscribe if you like what you see, if you like indie games, retro-style games, pixel art games, etc. I'm thinking about wanting to add a little closing quote here going forward for a little while. So here goes. Take care, everyone, and shine on.